done talking about this, bitches. Stop going back with the bullshit, because I already gave it to you. No, just just saying that, so in the principal and, next question, Tamika. Stop trying to motherfucking play me for you don't get what you need. Next question, Tamika.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of The Stark Effect. I'm your host, yours truly, Khalif, aka K. Okay, K in the streets. I have been gone for like a week and a half. And the reason why is you could probably hear it in my voice. I have been like really fighting off this really bad allergy situation. So I get allergies so bad, you guys. Like I might sound a little nasally. My tonsils are swollen. They're going down a little bit. They were much more swollen earlier this week, but last weekend, literally, I woke up on Saturday. I wasn't feeling good. Sunday, it was worse. I like woke up with a really bad like allergy attack, like literally just sneezing, like a severe sneeze and just like runny nose. So it's not a cold or nothing like that. I just my allergies when the weather is chaotic like this, like it is in California, Southern California, it affects me greatly. So, if I sound a little nasally or a little congested, that's why. But that's why I've been gone, y'all. But it's been so much going on. Okay, it's been so much happening. Okay, sorry for my camera shaking because I'm over here shaking the table. But shaking the table is literally probably what we can call the last 2 weeks, especially with these two girls. And y'all know I love my female rappers. Okay, I am a female rapper girl. Okay, I like all the girls, right? So I want to give a disclaimer. You might be mad at me, if you watch this full video, especially if you are a Barb or even a Barty Gang person, right? Because I'm not, my goal is to not pick a side. I might wind up picking a side at the end of this video. I don't know how this is going to go. But let's just get to it. You all saw that crazy beef, the Twitter beef, the X account beef that Nicki Minaj and Cardi B had. Literally like 2.5 weeks after Cardi B released her album. Nicki Minaj, started going in on her. You know what I mean? Once the album sales came out. So reports show that the album, Cardi B's album, after its first week, it sold 205,000 copies, right? Nicki Minaj just started taking jabs when the sales came out. And I'm going to use a Rolling Stone article to help, and I probably will insert some of the tweets throughout because it was so much. The girls fought for about 3 or 4 days. It was a lot. But in summary, Nicki Minaj started taking jabs at Cardi B's album sales, right? And, that sparked Cardi B to start responding. Now, one piece of information that we need to know is that on Twitter, on X, a few months prior, Barbs were going in on Cardi B and basically saying like, her next album is not going to sell. And Cardi B, this is allegedly according to reports, multiple reports, Cardi B was on Twitter basically saying, I bet I'm going to outsell your fave. That's what she was basically saying on Twitter months before her album came out. When the Barbs kept picking on her, she was kind of like, all right, y'all keep talking about my music stuff. Y'all talking about how I'm not going to outsell your fave when I drop my second album. Like, bet. Like, I'm going to outsell your fave. So that is something that Cardi B explicitly said. And if I'm wrong, you could drop down in the comments and correct me. But multiple reports have shown that Cardi B said that months prior. Right? So, what we got to understand is that Nicki Minaj watches everything. And, Nicki Minaj watches her competition. And honestly, I think it's fair to say that Cardi B is competition for Nicki Minaj. And I think that that's why she gets under her skin. And when I say competition, I'm not talking about rapping skills. I'm talking about numbers, right? So the girls were going at it. So I think what will help me is if I just run through a quick little summary of this long running beef of the girls that brought us to September 2025 and how this all went down. Because it got really crazy. But before I begin, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you like any of my videos, it would mean a lot if you support me. I really appreciate all the views, okay? Because I'm committed to this show, even if I might go away for a little bit. You know, I'm really, really having a fun time with season two of The Stark Effect. It feels completely new. If you're new to my channel, I've been podcasting for a long time, but I started off as an audio podcaster with my first podcast called The Perfect Blend, where I got a little bit over 5,000 streams, but I released like 4 seasons of it. It was all strictly audio. I'm fully independent. I'm not pushed by a studio or anything like that, but I've been podcasting for a very, very long time. So if you're new to me, The Stark Effect is my second podcast, which is on video here on my YouTube channel. Before we get into this beef, I want to do a quick check-in. How are you feeling? If you don't want to drop down in the comments and let me know, just think to yourself, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I was on the phone with one of my good homegirls earlier. She asked me how am I doing. I haven't had nobody outside of my therapist child ask me how I was doing in a while. So it's always nice when a person asks you how you're doing. That's just such a refreshing thing because, as we all know, the world is really in a dark place right now. Like, it's a lot of political stuff going on, a lot of protests happening every day. We got ICE outside arresting American citizens, arresting Latino people and black people. They over there killing the people in you know, Gaza and things like that. So it's a lot going on in the world. Um, and it gets to us every day. Sometimes the news is a lot for me as well. Like sometimes I'd be like, girl, this is too much for me. I need a break. I just got to focus on, my job and go home. It's a lot. But, what I will say about this Cardi B and Nicki Minaj thing is that in the height of it, a government shutdown occurred. So we can talk about that a little bit briefly. A government shutdown occurred because the Republicans are trying to get the Democrats to submit a few. They need a total of 60 votes to agree on a contractual agreement as far as healthcare goes and Medicaid and cuts to Medicaid. So what's happening is that the Republicans are basically trying their best to seal that deal of cutting millions of dollars from Medicaid and healthcare by attacking the Affordable Healthcare Act. And Democrats don't want to let that happen because millions of Americans who are low income, elderly, children, women, LGBTQ people, a lot of people rely on Medicaid. And Medicaid is not called Medicaid in every single state in the United States, but in different states it has different names, right? But it's all coming from the same source of Medicaid as far as getting lower cost health care. So what's happening is that if the Republicans get what they want, healthcare premiums are going to go up by hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And healthcare is already so expensive for the everyday person, right? So programs are needed like Medicaid. But Medicaid is one of the main reasons why there is a standstill, which caused the government shutdown. And basically, the Democrats are not budging, and the Republicans are not budging as well. And that shutdown started on October 1st. And we're still in the shutdown, and it's currently October 10th, right? So there is a lot. A lot of people are affected by this. So, as these two are fighting on social media, the shutdown literally occurred. And for me, I'm kind of like, oh, like, I get that you girls want to fight. I get that it's rap music. I get that it's entertainment. But a part of me, as someone who, I consider myself a pop culture connoisseur to an extent. Because sometimes I fall off on the popular TV shows like Love Island and stuff. Sometimes I fall off on that stuff, but I do keep my eye on pop culture. I do try my best to kind of stay in the know of what's happening, right? But I don't know. It was just so unfortunate that during the shutdown, these two girls are fighting, and they're entertainers. They don't have any obligation to us as regular people, right? But I just noticed that. I noticed how it's like these two girls are fighting and there's a shutdown and there's just more important things to worry about than two ladies going at it, right? But for the sake of entertainment, let them have at it. Take the gloves off. Let's go. So, that's just something I noticed with this whole government shutdown situation. It's something also, too, federal employees are also impacted. Some of them are experiencing like a furlough in employment. Some of them are still working but not being paid, and some of them will be laid off. Per our president. Some federal employees are going to be laid off during this government shutdown or after, right? And anyone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I've been keeping my eye on that as well. So we're just in a really chaotic time in our country, we are in a full on regime. That's just what's happening right now. Uh, and it's a lot. And, a lot of people are emotional, rightfully so, regardless of what side that you fall on. For example, I'm not trying to call my friends out, but I had my friends, they were upset at me because the protesters right now, Kamala Harris is on a book tour right now. And there are a lot of protesters who are protesting Kamala Harris's book, basically stating that she didn't take enough action, nor did she fully in their opinion, they feel like she didn't explicitly stand up against genocide, right? So she is at fault because she was the nominee. And, for me, I was telling my friends, and I'm not trying to be messy as to talk about this, but, these are just things that are happening in my everyday life. And it's no shade to them. I love them down, and, we respect each other. We talked about it. It's all good. But, they were a bit kind of taken aback because I was just like, I just don't understand why are people still coming at Kamala Harris so much? Like, girl, we gotta focus on other things. Stop worrying about her and her book tour. Let's go, and I know that there are protesters who are still protesting Donald Trump and Neon 2 and all those things like that. I know that Neon 2, hopefully I'm saying his name right, was in DC recently. I'm doing a press conference for some things, and he got a protest as well. But what I was trying to express to my friends is I was just like, I just feel like it's so pointed at Kamala Harris. And, we need to have that same energy for JD Vance and all of these other VPs who came well before VP Harris, who were also in support of the genocide, right? So, for me, I just get frustrated how I just feel like it's pointed towards her specifically. Right. So, so we were going back and forth. We were not really seeing eye to eye on a few things, but, I guess we saw eye to eye. Their perspective, and I love them down. Their perspective was that Kamala Harris doesn't have a career and that she's basically, just a crick and a tool, and she's not really doing anything, and that's why she deserves to be attacked. I think that we should stop focusing on attacking this lady. She's currently not in office. There's nothing that she can do. There's nothing that she could do. Why do we? It just doesn't make sense to me. It literally doesn't make sense to me. But, I understand that people have a right to protest and feel how they feel. We are all entitled to our opinion, right? But the time that we live in is it's just very chaotic. And for me, I think I just want to understand why to a lot of these things, right? So that's the place that I come from. And I know a lot of people might say, oh, Khalif, since you are, defending Kamala Harris, you're a part of the problem, you're a Zionist. I'm not a Zionist, right? That's not what I am. Um, I just want us to figure out what to focus on. It just feels like we're protesting everything and nothing at the same time. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And maybe I'm not as radical as I used to be when I was in my earlier 20s. You get me? Maybe I'm not as radical as some other people. That's something that I constantly battle with sometimes. I'm like, am I radical enough, or do I need to focus and figure out my political beliefs, or just revisit that, because I'm sitting here like, why do we keep focusing on this lady? Let her sell her book, like. And and it's interesting because when I say that to people who are not black, what underlying thing that I feel that is happening is they feel like all black people are just blindly supporting Kamala Harris because we're black, and that's not true. We're not saying that the lady is perfect. We're not saying that she's perfect. She was a district attorney and things like that, and in a way, she was aligned, with the state and things of that nature, as far as police and so forth and all of that, right? So if you're a person who is like a socialist and so forth, you're gonna look at this lady and be like, oh my God, she's just a criminal. She's a crook like everyone else. She gets funded by APAC. My rebuttal to that is all of them are funded by APAC. So what is it? What is it that we can do? I just it's just a lot. It's a lot going on in this country, child. In Chicago 2 weeks ago, ICE agents broke into an apartment complex in Chicago at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and started, tying up black people and children, tying them up with what is it? Those ties you put around your hands. I forgot, zip tying them and trying to arrest them, and they didn't have any cause for that. They just found an apartment and started saying and questioning people's citizenship, right? And these were black people, right? So, so we're just in a very chaotic time right now. So it's a lot going on. And I say all that to say that, it gets to me too. Even if, and like, I have some friends who are very, I used to work in the activist field and things like that. Um, and now I'm a reporter and so forth, but I have friends who are still deep in that work, and I think sometimes they kind of And this is not shade to anyone, but the energy that I feel is this like a thing of kind of questioning where I stand, because sometimes I might be a little calm or I might be a little quiet and I'm not as angry. Right. But, but maybe that shows up differently for different people. It doesn't mean that I don't care about all people, you know? So I don't know. Something in me just wants to vent. Obviously, that's why I'm talking about it on my show. But once again, my goal is to not be messy by talking about these things. I'm just trying to talk about, what's happening in my day to day life and what's happening in the world in real time. It's a lot of shit going on right now. It's a lot of shit going on. And it's exhausting. It's very, very exhausting. I just find myself so depleted. And honestly, with the political landscape, it's very draining. And frankly, it probably will get worse. It's already been really, really bad. We're a little bit past 257 days of 2025. And so much has happened, and it frankly just seems like it's not getting better. And I think when I say stuff like that, sometimes some people who know me in my real life, they get frustrated with me because I'm always sitting here like, well, what are we gonna do, y'all? Like, what are we gonna do? you know and my goal is to not be complicit, but realistically, we live in a climate where you can't talk, you can't have conversations, you might lose your job. We live in a really controlled climate where all of us are being heavily policed by what we say, all of us are being heavily surveillanced. So all of this has been happening in the midst of these girls beefing. So let's go ahead and let's get into this Nicki Minaj thing, because these two were going at it about. Let me just break it down from what I know before I read this little thing here. It has been a long running beef with these two ever since Cardi B has been on the rise. Cardi B has been the underdog in female hip hop, yet she always comes out on top. When Bodak Yellow dropped, a lot of the girls were shook. A lot of the girls on the labels didn't think Cardi B had it in her, because Cardi B has admitted to not writing as a rapper. Cardi B hustles, right? Not to take away from a hustle. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of the girls, including Nicki Minaj and just hip hop in general, has an issue with embracing Cardi B. And I'm not talking about her popularity. I'm talking about like hip hop and how some people perceive her. They feel like she's not like a real rapper, right? When it comes to being a real rapper. For her, she's like, look, I'm having fun. I don't have to write all my songs. I'm an entertainer, right? Now, a rebuttal to that could be, well, Nicki Minaj also has writers on her songs as well. So Nicki Minaj does write her verses, but Nicki Minaj may get help on a hook. If you go look at her credits, she also has several writers on her stuff too, right? But she writes all her verses. That could be a pushback, and that's no shade to Nicki. By the way, Barbs, if I say anything about Nicki Minaj, it's subjective. I'm a fan of Nicki Minaj. I'm not a Barb. But if I am a Barb, if I am a Barb, which I used to be back in the day, I would consider myself an objective Barb. And I always say this. I've been saying this even since my first podcast. I'm an objective Barb because I can see all of her, not just awing her because she's so talented and because she is who she is. Nobody is beyond reproach. Not even Beyonce or Kamala Harris or anyone that we admire. No one is beyond reproach. You get me? So I just want you to understand that if you're a Barb and if you get triggered by any of the clips I post, look, we have to have a real conversation about Nicki Minaj and how her rants make us concerned about her. Oftentimes, when she rants, she is the only one that's truly in the know as to what is happening to her, even though sometimes she has been telling the truth. She is the only one that is truly, truly in the know because she's in the industry. None of us really, really know. We're just watching because it's entertaining to us, and we love a little bit of mess and we love a little bit of drama. And all of us do. All of us do. I don't care who you are. All of us gravitate towards a little bit of mess and a little bit of drama. Rather you like watching Zeus Network or Baddies or Jocelyn's Cabaret or rappers fighting on Twitter, or you're a little bit more classy with your drama, right? It's still drama. You get what I'm saying? So all I'm trying to say is that, whenever people hold Nicki Minaj accountable, I think that the Barbs sometimes have a hard time because they want to protect the queen. I get it. I totally get it. But this was crazy. and we're gonna hold both of them accountable, right? Although I might choose a side, and then I might choose a side. I'm just gonna be real. I'm trying not to be biased, but I might lean a little bit more towards Cardi. I might, and we'll talk about Cardi too because she was calling black women roaches. Anyways, let me backpedal a little bit. I'm over here ranting. I hope you're enjoying it. By the way, drop down, subscribe, comment, and like if you like it. These two have been beefing since 2018. Different Twitter jabs, different subs on songs. Tried to work together on that record, Motorsport. One took Nicki took a diss at Cardi. Cardi was offended. There was some tension between the two. It's gonna be some tension because Cardi is a power in her own right. Regardless of what people say, Cardi B has carved out a lane for herself as a female rapper. When I Am the Drama came out, this was her redefining her lane and saying, look, y'all play in my face all these years, all y'all female rappers. Nicki, all of y'all been playing in my face, questioning my talent, trying to play with me, but I'm still here and I've always been here and I'm Cardi B respectfully. And I think that's why a lot of people respect Cardi B despite her not being a writer. Right, or not her like sitting down in the studio for hours and hours like writing bars, because that was one of Nicki Minaj's critiques for her back on Queen Radio. I believe it was Queen Radio where she said something around the lines of, and this was years ago. She was like, have you ever locked yourself in a room and like sat down and really wrote your stuff? No. So I can't respect you, girl. You're cute. You're cute and you have the corporations behind you, but if you really trying to think you can go toe to toe with me, you can never go toe to toe with me because I'm Nicki Minaj. That's Nicki Minaj's perspective. And honestly, I could see her perspective in that. Even if you're not a barb. Even if you're not a barb. And this is not me. We're not going to talk about her husband because a lot of people who don't like Nicki, they like to talk about her husband and talk about her brother and all those things, which are very, very, very valid critiques. Very valid critiques. But when it comes to this thing of female rap, I think that Nicki Minaj is in a place. Nicki Minaj, and before I get into the timeline of stuff, because honestly, I might not even read all those tweets and stuff. I'll just probably insert a few clips and summarize it really quickly. But you all know what's happening, okay? But what I really have been wanting to say as I thought about this beef was, wow, Nicki Minaj is at a really interesting point in her career. Because I believe Nicki Minaj is 42, 43 years old. Let me look up her age. Hold on. Because a lot of people are very ageist towards Nicki Minaj. She's 42 years old, right? Nicki Minaj is 42. We have not seen a female rapper who has had the same longevity musically in music like Nicki Minaj has. A lot of the girls, they start fizzling out around their early 30s, mid 30s, and then they give up. Or the labels push them out. It's not even the girls. I think that some of the girls want to go a longer time, like a Little Kim or a Eve. They want to go for a longer time, but the labels will stop funding them because they're like, oh, you're too old now. You're in your 30s. No one wants to hear an older woman rap. When you're a younger woman, audiences can relate to you more. We can market to you more. Like labels think this. This is what I think. I don't work at a label. I'm not an AR person. I'm just using common sense here. Oftentimes when women talk about being in the industry, ageism is a real thing. And I think that there has been such a short shelf life for female rappers. And one of the battles that Nicki Minaj, I think it gets to her is the ageism that's happening to her. Because yes, she's talented. And yes, she has the barbs. But the industry, what Nicki Minaj is mad at is the industry and the labels and corporations that are funding these other women. That's what she's angry at. You see the tweets, Rock Nation, da 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 da. Da. If you like really pay attention to what she's saying, I think she's mad at the bigger powers that be that push the girls out and give them the resources, right? So even if they might not sell as much as Nicki, some of them are getting a push and they have connections. And all these girls know the same people, right? Nicki Minaj knows their managers and their higher ups, and they know her higher ups as well. I think that a soundable assumption that I could probably make as to why Nicki Minaj is so upset It's not only does she not like Cardi B and she probably feels a little bit threatened by her numbers. She probably does. She probably is like, girl, this girl is not that good and her numbers are good. Like, what the hell? This is why she always says payola. Sympathy. Oh, you're getting your career off of sympathy. Nicki Minaj is always figuring out a way to cut the other girls if they are successful. Like, she'll be like, "Oh, you can't rap," or like with Megan Thee Stallion. "Oh, you can't rap. You're not on beat. You have Rock Nation, but you still can't sell." It's always something. And one thing she said about Megan Thee Stallion was, you're trying to pull the Rihanna card, right? Tory Lanez hurt you, and now you're trying to do this whole "I'm a domestic violence survivor." I'm a victim, protect Black women. You're trying to use that card to help your career. Nicki Minaj has explicitly said that to cut Megan Thee Stallion. You get what I'm saying? With Cardi B, payola, you're a hoe. Nicki Minaj always calls Cardi B a hoe and a whore. You're a hoe, I'm not a hoe, I'm the queen. She even said that in her tweets, saying how Cardi B slept around to get where she, or alluding to, saying that Cardi B slept around to get where she is. That's how she got in the door because she has no talent, right? Cardi B's rebuttal to that is, I'm not a hoe. I didn't sleep around to get anywhere. I work hard. Y'all, you girls are always trying to take away from my hard work. I worked really hard to get here. And that's what Cardi B always says. She's like, look, I worked hard to get here and I might not be as talented as you, but you're not going to come and try to tell me that I don't deserve to be here. So you have these two ladies. You have one who is 42 years old and you have one that's 32 years old. Cardi B is 32, you know? Cardi B is in her 30s, and maybe there's also some pressures for her to get this music out because she's starting to age out. Does that make sense? So she's still young, but what I'm saying is that the way that the entertainment industry works with women is that they always prioritize younger women. They're trying to figure out who's the next girl gonna be after Doja Cat, after Ice Spice. They're probably gonna start pushing Ice Spice more because Ice Spice has been gearing back up to come back out. You get me? Ice Spice is working with Cat's Eye, and Ice Spice is slowly figuring out how can I come up and stay out this beef and let these other girls fight. I don't care no more, child. I want to get this money about my business. You get me? She's younger. And labels are always looking for younger talent. Once you hit a certain age, they want to push you out. And so back to Nicki. What's so interesting about Nicki's trajectory in her career is that there's this constant defense of the queen title. I'm the queen. I'm not going anywhere. So clearly, what we can see with Nicki Minaj in general with this beef is that she's not bowing down. Nicki Minaj is not done, and Nicki Minaj doesn't want to be done. I think Nicki Minaj still wants to be in the game. Nicki Minaj said, I'm not going to retire until I feel like it. You get me? Now, the powers that be are probably figuring or trying to figure out how to shut her out. Tour opportunities, endorsement opportunities, financial opportunities. That's what Nicki Minaj is mad about. Cardi B is getting a lot of endorsements right now. Cardi B got DoorDash. Cardi B, Fashion Nova. She put Fashion Nova on years ago. But with this current rollout, Cardi B had several endorsements. And Nicki Minaj even posted the companies that she wanted Cardi B to be, she wanted to affect her endorsement. She, in one of her tweets, I saw it, and I'll probably post it here if I could remember to add it. But in one of her tweets, I think one of the Barbs compiled a list. It wasn't Nicki explicitly, but one of the Barbs compiled a list of all of the companies that Cardi B currently has endorsements with. And basically saying, we gotta mess up her money because she's trying to come at the queen. She thinks she hot. She thinks she hot. Let's hit her pockets because yes, she's successful, but we don't like her. You get me? So we want to hit her pockets. You know what I mean? And Cardi B's rebuttal, one of her rebuttals in this Twitter feud was, look, I gotta chill out with going back and forth with you because it's gonna mess up my money. You're trying to mess up my money, right? So I'm rambling at this point, but what I really wanted to say is that Nicki is in a place where she is defending her lane and she's not ready to go. So any girl that comes up as a threat, it don't matter who it is. It could be Megan Thee Stallion, it could be Cardi B, it could be Lotto, it could be Ice Spice, it could be Coyle Ray. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're coming up, you're a threat. I can't trust you. I don't trust none of y'all girls. I look at every single woman as competition. I want to take them out. That is Nicki Minaj's mindset. Period. And some agree with it, some don't. But I really think that that is her mindset. I do. With Cardi B in particular, I think with Cardi B, hold on, guys, my thing is starting to talk. Sorry, y'all. So I think it hears me and it starts talking, but I love to have it on because it's so pretty. But with Cardi B, Cardi B is like, look, I'm trying to make my money and have fun, girl. You gonna start talking about my kids and stuff. So let's get into the beef, y'all, because that's what we're here for. I haven't spent 30 minutes breaking all this down, child. But we talked about the government shutdown and Kamala Harris and Nicki Minaj and Cardi, so I'm giving you multiple topics in one episode. um And by the way, if you feel that I have reported something incorrectly or my commentary is incorrect, feel free to let me know. I'm open to that, right? But I'm also entitled to my own thoughts, and my own thoughts don't reflect any of the work that I do or who I work for, okay? So, Rolling Stone compiled a brief or a long article about the two rappers, going back and forth and how it escalated very, very quickly. This article was written by Jeff Haza. The headline reads Nicki Minaj and Cardi B are exchanging incendiary tweets. And it's escalating quickly. The two rappers have been exchanging jabs full of unsettling accusations on social media. So, Cardi B is fresh off of the success of Am I the Drama? And in this success, she had this heated exchange with Nicki Minaj. The two have been at odds. And when this occurred, this all happened last week. They were at odds for days. You know, um, Basically talking about the reports of this album and where the album debuted on the charts. Now, Cardi B's album did debut at the top of the charts last week, and it was the best performing album from a female rap act in history. Literally, it was. In a string of single deleted tweets on Monday, which was last Monday, October 1st, Minaj took, actually, that wasn't October 1st. Let's see, what day was that? I just want to make sure because this article was written on October 1st. Last Monday was October 29th. So, in a string of tweets on September 29th, I'm getting my dates. Okay, September 29th, Nicki Minaj went off. Okay, Nicki Minaj went off. She had issues with the claims alleging that Cardi's album sales were inflated because once again there were claims from multiple press outlets and news articles and news outlets that Cardi B debuted at the top of the charts, beating a lot of records in female rap history. And let's just quickly let's dig into what those records said. Um, Oh gosh, they have a paywall. God damn it. They didn't have a paywall on the other article. Oh, they took it away from me. Damn it. I'm so upset. Look. All right. Basically, in short, her album did debut at the top of the charts. She was getting a lot of praise and success. Nicki Minaj was not happy about that. Nicki Minaj immediately started to refute the claims and take shots. That pissed off Cardi B. Cardi B started to respond. Nicki Minaj reportedly, she shared that the latest round, in one of the rounds of her tweets, she was mocking Cardi B's low price album because her album was priced at $5. Okay? And Nicki Minaj was just saying, like, basically, you're causing the label a lot of money. You're causing the label a lot of money because your album is at $5, and you really got to make some money, girl, because you're not all that. So these are inflated album sales, and basically, you're cheating at the game. I can't respect you because while you may have the numbers, you're cheating at the game. The tweet here from Nicki Minaj, she tweeted, all she said was $4.99. That's all she tweeted. Um, Then she started mocking Cardi B's song called Magnet. So in Cardi B's song, she has a line where she says, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, y'all can't F with me or something that she said, right? Nicki Minaj started mocking that line in the record and she put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, surgery to look like me, tell the rat and tell Jay-Z, Rico fraud and perjury. A, B, C, D, E, F, G falling off the charts with a big belly. Uh, Running trains barefoot, still smelly. Still, you could not outsell me. Okay, so Nicki Minaj was tweeting off various things like that. Cardi B then got upset and hopped online. And she said that there's nothing more annoying. She tweeted, "There's nothing more annoying than a bored bitch." Oh my goodness. Then she also tweeted cocaine Barbie. Um, yeah. Then she also tweeted lyrics of her same song, and she referenced Nicki Minaj's brother. And Nicki Minaj's brother, he's currently in prison because he was found guilty of raping his 11-year-old stepdaughter. So Cardi B took a shot at that, and she put A B C D E F G. Your man have to snatch PUSSY coochie. Okay. Then she put her coochie tastes like honeycomb, and she put your bro be touching 12-year-olds. Okay, so that's what Cardi B tweeted. By the way, I'm not trying to cuss. I'm just spelling out what the ladies are saying for the sake of the report. All right, so Nicki Minaj then started to repeatedly call Cardi B Barney and post the actual Barney dinosaur with a lace front wig on it. And these were AI images, by the way, that Nicki Minaj was making, or fans were making and sending to her, I guess. So Cardi B then told Nicki Minaj to act her age, and Cardi B released a tweet saying, "Why do you keep bringing up my album? It's not the gag that you think it is. You've been in the game like 16 years. You need to compare yourself to your peers that started around your time. Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Drake. Those are numbers you need to be competing with, and you can't." And that's what Cardi B said. Let's finish the rest of the tweet if hopefully it lets me in into X to do that. Oh yeah, and she said, "You can't because you're doing lower than all of them." And also Cardi B said, "I was in high school when you came out. What the f is you comparing yourself to me for?" So Cardi B is tired of these constant comparisons. Then that launched into them talking about each other's kids. Nicki Minaj tweeted, "Raw dog and pregnant with the fourth baby, Barney B, BVHPVE allegedly." This was the final straw for Cardi B, according to The Cuts. Now we're reading of the Cut article, y'all, because Rolling Stone closed out on me, child. By the way, let me pause. I know I'm all over the place, but I hope you're following. I'm reading an article by The Cuts, written by Olivia Craighead. It's called "Sorry to Ask, but Why Are Nicki Minaj and Cardi B Feuding Again?" So this is just like a small recap of what's going on. So basically, Nicki Minaj started talking about her kid and saying how she had HPV and BV, bacterial vaginosis, and talking about her vagina and her coochie and just being very disrespectful. A fucking mess. Nicki Minaj is a mess. So Cardi B started also taking shots at um Nicki Minaj's child, basically saying how he's slow, um, and how he doesn't know his colors, and he often says five because he doesn't know his colors, and how she and Cardi B also called out Nicki Minaj because on one of the days it was Papa Bear's birthday. Papa Bear is Nicki Minaj's son. Cardi B was saying, this is just she released a tweet saying, "It's so crazy how your mom is spending so much time focusing on me instead of focusing on your birthday. Like, this is so sad that your mom is like really mad at me and my success this much that she's not focusing on her child's birthday while I'm sitting at home baking ribs." And she posted like a picture of ribs. It was just a mess. So now Cardi B, one of her tweets, because Nicki Minaj kept coming at her kid and basically talking about her pregnancy, Cardi B responded and said, "All right, now this is the third tweet talking about my pregnancy, like you wasn't going to different fertility doctors because you couldn't reproduce from all of those perks scrambling your eggs, not allegedly. Lord protect my babies." Nicki Minaj then responded. She said, "Also, let me say this. Though I have never had fertility issues, it's not something to be used as a drag. Until you know the women who are actually living that pain, blaming themselves, we can only imagine and pray for them, love them, uplift them, not use these women as a punchline." That's what Nicki Minaj said. The two kept going back and forth. Nicki Minaj then started taking shots at Jay-Z. JT and Santana got involved. That'll probably be another video. All in all, the both of them took the gloves off. And a lot of people were really triggered after a while because at first it was funny, right? But after a while, once both of them started saying stuff about their kids, Cardi B started talking about Nicki Minaj and saying how allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, this is what Cardi B said on her X account, that Nicki Minaj is upset and unhappy because she was allegedly touched by her father. And, that's what Cardi B said on her Twitter account. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, so if you're Barb, that's not what I'm saying. Cardi B was saying, you're just angry and you're hateful because your father did this to you. That's not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing what she said online because I don't have the tweets here. But that is the severity of how nasty it got between the ladies. Now, commentary. Reporter off. Okay, I know this is a mess, but honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't want to do this video because it got really messy, and while it's entertaining, it's fucking, it's so stupid after a while because the mature side of all of us, outside of the messy side of the public, because I know the girls and the Barbs and the Barty gang, we love to see a good cat fight. I like to see, when the female rappers go at it, I like to see it too. I want to see you girls take it to the booth. If both of y'all are rappers and we're the queen and I'm the queen and I'm the princess, go to the studio. Just go to the studio. Who cares about album sales and chart sales, right? They are important. Don't get it twisted. But Nicki Minaj is her one of her points is always I'm the top selling. I'm this. I'm that. Then you have Cardi B coming up, and Cardi B is like, I have my accomplishments too, mama. So yes, you are top selling, but I'm right behind you. And I think it's something that pisses Nicki off because Nicki doesn't respect Cardi B as a rapper. She doesn't. Nicki Minaj looks at Cardi B as a pond. Nicki Minaj looks at Cardi B as an industry plant in this industry. She does. Cardi B is her perspective is like, look, I'm blessed by God. I'm talented. I might not be as talented as you, but y'all can't knock my hustle. I work very, very hard. Even I've been watching all of her interviews. Cardi B, a lot of her talking points is hard work. I work very hard to get where I get. I had my social media up. I was on Love and Hip Hop. I didn't have anything handed to me. So while a lot of people may think that Atlantic Records gave Cardi B just the easy handout, Cardi B is saying, I wasn't given an easy handout. But the general public doesn't believe that because, some people who are more Team Nicki or just more Team Rap in general, even outside of Nicki Minaj, they don't respect Cardi B as a rapper. That's just what's happening here. So, both of them don't respect each other. That's quite evident. Um, the beef basically ended off with Cardi B saying, "Look, now I gotta see you because you went too far talking about my kids, so we gotta see each other, and I will see you." Right? Cardi B wrote a long letter to Papa Bear, shading Papa Bear. Nicki Minaj wrote a long letter to Cardi B's children, saying how they look funny and how they look weird. Both of them are being very petty. Cardi B is like, "Look, I gotta see you because you talking too much." And here's the thing. Rather you like Cardi B or not, comment the reporter off. Look, I'm gonna be a little biased here with Cardi B. I actually respect that about her. Cardi B is like, look, when a person, this is about conflict too, right? And I'm one of those people where when people keep trying me, I'm gonna come at you and I'm gonna say what I gotta say to really get you. Right, because some people are very disrespectful, and honestly, I think that Cardi B, a part of her perspective is, look, you keep trying me, you keep disrespecting me. I'm gonna come at you. I'm gonna say whatever I gotta say to hurt you, even if it's not true. Honestly, when I saw a lot of these tweets, I also felt like both of these ladies were embellishing a few things, because I'm like, okay, both of y'all are probably embellishing a few things, both of y'all, because how would Cardi B know if Nicki Minaj was, you know, essayed by her father, right? I don't recall Nicki Minaj ever talking about her father doing that to her. I do recall Nicki Minaj talking about how her father had a drug issue and how, that deeply affected her and stuff like that and it hurt her and her family. But I don't ever recall Nicki Minaj mentioning ever that happening to her. If it has happened, that's very unfortunate. I don't want to make light of that. Out of respect to Nicki or any woman, right? Um, I don't want to make light of any of that, and it is disgusting what both of them are saying, right? So the mature Khalif is saying that the immature Khalif, if for me with Cardi B, I'm like, girl, look, if this girl talking about your kids, if it's up, then it's stuck. Like, and I'm not even trying to act like I'm a Barty gang because I'm not a Barty gang. I'm not a Barb. Okay, I'm not. I'm not either of them. But I do love both of them respectfully because I love female rappers, and I really support both of them. I really really like them, right? And I see the flaws in both of them. A lot of people. One of Nicki Minaj's talking points was, this lady has talked about black women. Nicki Minaj tried to pull the black woman card. Okay, she did. Um, she talks about black women. She called them roaches. We're, a lot of people let her slide. I'm not gonna let her slide, right? Nicki Minaj is trying to hold that over her. So, so with both of them, or out of the two of them, what I see happening is Nicki Minaj is trying to destroy Cardi B and trying her best to hurt her image. But Cardi B is such a force to where no matter what happens, it doesn't really hurt her. It just doesn't. Cardi B has, like I said in my album review, regardless of how people feel about Cardi B has lasted, and a lot of people are shocked that she's lasted this long. But clearly, she has some type of star power and some type of blessing and quality about her. She just does. Politics or not, she has managed to stay relevant. And there have been so many girls that have come, and they also have gotten relevant at at different points, right? But Cardi B and her sales and things like that, every single artist inflates their sales with streams. Like, so when people use the payola conversation with Cardi B, I'm like, literally all of y'all do the same thing. When Super Freaky Girl came out, Nicki Minaj had a bundle. I'm not trying to call Nicki out. I love Nicki, right? But Nicki Minaj also had a bundle and sold the single certain ways in order to get more sales. And Cardi B also pointed that out in her response. She was like, when you dropped Queen was also sold for $5, right? So stop trying to call me out and stop trying to downplay what I do to get my money and hustle this game because you're also hustling the game too. And we're not and as I say that, I'm not trying to take away from Nicki's success. Nicki Minaj is Nicki Minaj respectfully. And even as that's why it was hard for me to do this video because I love Nicki Minaj. Like Nicki Minaj respectfully is Nicki Minaj. But we cannot sit up here and act like there were not other female rappers who came before her. And Barb's are gonna hate me for saying that. Little Kim, right? There are so many other women who came before her. So let's not take away from her. And Nicki Minaj definitely kicked the door down for female rap. Let me wrap up my thoughts here. The two ladies are fighting. Cardi B is not taking Nicki Minaj's SHIT. Nicki Minaj's goal is to antagonize Cardi B and any other woman who she feels is getting in the way of her or coming close to her. And one of my earlier points in this video was ageism. Well, we have to see what's happening here. What Nicki Minaj is fighting is bigger than Cardi B. When both of them beef, it's a win-win for both of them. It's a win-win for both of them. Yes, Nicki Minaj has the barbs, right? But when it comes to staying in the conversation and keeping us going as a public, everybody loves drama. Everybody loves a good rap beef. We were all tuned in. Both of us were talking about them. And one of the things that I thought about was that Nicki Minaj's goal is to attach herself to any girl who comes after her in order to stay in the conversation. Now, as I say that, I'm not saying that Nicki Minaj is not always in the conversation. I'm not saying that Nicki Minaj is irrelevant. That's not what I'm saying, Barb. So I need y'all to hear what I'm saying and don't hear what I did not say. When you are an entertainer, it's important to stay in the conversation. And I think that Nicki Minaj, one of Nicki Minaj's tactics is, look, you're having a little bit of success here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to lean into that. Since everyone thinks you're the good guy now because you came after me, great. Cardi B, you came after me. I'm going to lean into this persona of the bad guy, and I'm going to attack you, and I'm going to latch myself onto you. Every chance I get. Every chance I get.
And let's face it, this is my fucking job. I have to have some sort of fun. Like, if it means, making fun of these hoes and like, why the fuck not?
Bitches, they're your sons.
Yes, every chance I have. So, I mean, the thing is, I realized, though, it's like a movie. They've made me the bad guy. So, I've welcomed the challenge. You know why?
Like you said, everybody need a bad guy.
It's because I know I can accept that challenge. None of them can. None of them would be able to do it. So, they've made me the bad guy in this movie that we're in.
That's Nicki Minaj's game. Nicki Minaj is like, look, I don't care how crazy I look. Y'all can say I'm on coke. Y'all can call me Cocaine Barbie, allegedly. I don't know if she's really on drugs or not. Y'all can say I'm a crackhead girl. Y'all can say that I'm an irresponsible mother. I'm sleeping with a man who is an offender and he's my husband. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. I don't care. I'm going to stay in this game. I don't care how crazy I look. I don't care how bad I look because I'm Nicki Minaj and I'm successful. And my success outweighs the bad things about me. I really think that Nicki Minaj is that's probably a part of her thinking. I don't know. I'm just assuming, right? So with Nicki, I think for her, she's like, look, if these corporations want to keep trying to take me out and push me out this industry, I'm gonna come after all their artists. I'm gonna frustrate their artists. I'm gonna attack their artists at any cause. I'm gonna get up here. I'm gonna say whatever. I'm gonna look crazy, and I'm gonna crash the car with all of us in it. Since you all are trying to take away my career and phase me out to usher in a new girl, I'm gonna crash the car, a female rap. And that's where Nicki Minaj is. I'm gonna crash the car just to maintain my place as the queen. No other girl can come after me. I don't care. Nicki Minaj doesn't want to let up on her career yet. She just doesn't. And I don't think she is. Her new album comes out March of next year. I'm actually excited. I want to hear the album. Because I really do like Nicki Minaj a lot. Oh, child. So there you have it. That's my breakdown of the beef. We talked about like 4 different topics. I'm trying to make up for being gone for so long. This video was a hot mess with the editing, but I just want to apologize for that. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I'll probably throw out some more episodes this weekend. Yeah. So, that's my little like report. It's so long. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed because this video is going to be so long. I might break it up into a part 1 and a part 2 for you all. But, yeah, both of them are fighting. Talking about kids is crazy. I do believe that talking about kids, special needs people and elders is off limits. But when 2 girls are beefing, if look, for me, I'm from the hood too. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, look, you coming at me, all bets are off. I'm gonna take it wherever we gotta take it. Since you want to take it there with me, you want to play, I'm gonna take it there. So with Cardi B, I do think that Cardi B is sensitive. She probably should have stopped responding, but we all know Cardi B is not gonna stop responding. That's not Cardi B. But I do think that Cardi B needs to be careful because Cardi B took the bait of Nicki Minaj. That was pure bait. And Megan didn't take the bait when they were going at it. Megan just went to the studio and dropped the record and let it go. And said, I'm going to respond again on my time. Megan is using a Nicki Minaj tactic. You get me? I think that a lot of people kind of wish, or it's safe to assume that a lot of people wish that Cardi B would have just took the higher road. But, both of these are hood girls. You can have all the money in the world. If you from the streets, it's going to be in you somewhere, okay? Both of these girls are from New York, you get me? And both of them... Wait, okay, I want to say this. Okay, one of the lines... I'm going to give Nicki Minaj a little bit of credit here, okay? One of the lines that Nicki Minaj said on Twitter, it was something around the lines of, you're from the Bronx, you're going to be eating garbage out of a Bronx trash can, you rat. It was something crazy she said like that to Cardi B. She was like, look, you are a rat, you're a hood rat, and you're gonna be eating out of a garbage can out of the Bronx when I'm done with you. I thought that was a good read. I was like, oh, Nicki, that was a good one. That was a good crash out. I feel so bad saying that. But I said I was trying to be unbiased here, okay? But there were some lines where I was like, Nicki, damn it, Nicki, that was a good one. That was a good one, Nicki Minaj. That the Bronx bar for being a rat in the hood. That was a good bar. But both of y'all are from the hood. Both of y'all are from the hood. Both of y'all are hood girls. So, anywho, oh God, this beef had the internet shook for 2 weeks. We're still talking about it 2 weeks later. That's why I'm late with the video. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Barbs, please don't be upset with me, okay? Please don't be upset with me, Barbs. I love Nicki Minaj, but I think that we have to evolve. And I think that we have to. Entertainment is entertainment. Beef is beef. When two people are fighting, go at it, right? Respectfully. Feel how you feel. But, when people call Nicki Minaj out, it's because we are disappointed. Because she is higher than a lot of these girls. And even as I say that, I could still see that Nicki Minaj has a goal. And we don't know what the goal is yet. But see, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off because people. This is why I piss people off in my videos because people always think I'm towing the fence, right? But I really try my best to see both sides, and I feel like Nicki Minaj is fighting not just Cardi B. It's who behind. It's about who is behind Cardi B. Who is behind Megan Thee Stallion? Who is behind Ice Spice? Who is behind Lotto? For me, I want to get at the people who are pushing these girls. That's pretty much what Nicki is saying. At least that's what I think. Anyways, I'm done with this video. It's too long. We'll break it up into 2 parts. I hope you enjoy. Okay? Drop down below and let me know what you think. If you are a Barb and you say something crazy to me, I will block you. If you're a Barty gang and you say something crazy to me, I will block you. Okay? I'm not going to play these games with you guys. Okay? I love both girls respectfully. And I don't think I said anything that was disparaging about either of them. I don't believe I have. But if you want to have like feedback or whatever, just tell me your thoughts. That's totally cool. Just keep it cute. If you're trying to disrespect me, you will get blocked. Okay, I'm not gonna play with y'all. Okay, but but if you want to share your thoughts about how you feel about the beef, rather you support Nicki or Cardi, I don't care. Just keep it cute with me. Okay, I ain't got no time. Love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. This was so fun. I'm under the weather. I'm gonna go. This was a long video. All right, y'all take care. Y'all will see me soon.